Hello. Today, we stand at the threshold of a new era in manufacturing. An era where sustainability isn't just a buzzword, but the backbone of our industry. It is a necessity to be able to continue and advance the life on the planet. Hi, I am Roxana Timmermans. Last 15 years, I have specialized in the highly complex pharmaceutical supply operations industry, from technical operations, operational excellence, to acquisitions and business deals. I'm here with you today to explore the vast potential of sustainable frontiers and how pharma contract manufacturing can be changed through green outsourcing. Contract development and manufacturing organizations are serving the healthcare industry. On global basis, the healthcare systems account for over 4% of global carbon dioxide emissions. Therefore, it is imperative that healthcare sector reevaluates its impact on the environment. For contract manufacturing, this means a bold pivot to green outsourcing, to integrate sustainability into every single link of our supply chain. We are not just talking about reducing waste or using recyclable materials. We must envision a future where every outsourced job adheres to the highest environmental standards. And innovation, integration, integrity, they are principles that ensure environmental sustainability is embedded in every business strategy. Want to clarify here the semantics, as some folks are sometimes confused when referred to Scope 3 emissions and or decarbonizations, which are theoretically the same. Because the emissions are mostly carbon, they are often referred to as carbon emissions and arise from activity in companies' wider supply chain, value chain. For example, for pharmaceutical companies, the material Scope 3 emissions usually occur upstream via suppliers and raw materials. On this slide, let me explain rapidly the difference between Scope 1, 2, and 3, where Scope 3 probably is the most impactful and requires immediate attention. Very simplified, the Scope 1 emission contain gas and company car fuel, diesel, lorries, jets. So basically fuel or emissions of a company that the company produces by running internal productions and associated activities. Also very simplified, the Scope 2 emissions, I would just mention the electricity, so all emissions coming from all type of energy consumptions. Now, Scope 3 is practically anything else remaining, so all the indirect emissions. Scope 3 emission is split into 15 different categories, with the biggest one is really purchased goods and services, or the supply chain carbon. There are practically upstream and downstream supply chain emissions. Upstream include emissions produced by external parties, contract manufacturing organizations, that will source, produce, transport raw materials and components we are all using, or business travels, or employees' commutes. Downstreams are emissions from logistics, the use or disposal of the products, and downstream emissions also cover the activities like investing and franchising. So with these classifications now clarified, it means that CMO partners emissions are impacting the Scope 3 emissions targets of each of originator companies or the pharmaceutical companies as clients. 80 to 90% of carbon emissions of a company are Scope 3 emissions. This is the bulkiest, the most codependent, and the most difficult to qualify. Therefore, the most important. I will spend a little bit more time on this slide as this is very important. The need for individual and very well developed Scope 3 emission plans. It's clearly imperative for contract manufacturing organizations, and I will give you three major elements justifying this priority. Well, the first one, clearly the regulations. The reporting of Scope 3 emissions is quickly evolving, and while the Securities and Exchange Commission's new climate disclosure rules do not cover Scope 3 emissions, Europe has enacted the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive that phases in Scope 3 disclosure over the coming years for companies that meet certain criteria. The US, California has passed climate disclosure bills that cover Scope 3 that impact more than 10,000 public and private companies. It is very important that the companies have the capability to collect, to measure, to manage, and to report on value chain greenhouse gas emissions so that they can comply with these regulations. A second element really is the impact. The impact that Scope 3 emissions they really have on the world. A McKinsey report has been showing that 40 pharmaceutical companies have about over 75% of Scope 3 emissions across the value chain, with 50% of these total emissions coming from upstream, specifically the purchased goods and services category. That means that contract manufacturing is responsible for at least 50% of the total emissions. And that is here is coming the third element, the year-over-year increase of contract manufacturing businesses through 2030. There is a growth projection of 7% through 2030. So if the contract manufacturing organization participation in Scope 3 emissions is 50% roughly, and this market segment is increasing, we can now understand why it is so important to introduce green frontiers and sustainability in contract manufacturing. Sustainability in contract manufacturing is not only an ethical imperative, but also a strategic advantage. It can lead to cost savings, market opportunities, positive impact on the planet and the society as a whole. This is a very busy slide. I will not walk you through the entire slide. I put it here for the benefit of the details, but we'll focus on two major economic benefits in my opinion. Probably one of the most significant economic benefit of green practices for contract manufacturers, it is cost reduction. And everyone is a little bit worried, as I'm hearing more and more, by the impressive investments that required to advance initially. Well, first of all, there are specific loans for this type of investments, the carbon investments, with specific terms and much milder conditions than a typical facility-built loan from governments, from banks. And secondly, if one is truly calculating the net present value, the NPV of such an investment of the 10 years, well, this is positive. This is a fantastic positive NPV. One once optimizes resources use, waste reduction, improves efficiency of energy efficiency. Well, manufacturers can cut operational expenses to over 40%. Another major element I want to detail here is the risk mitigation. When resources are scarce and there are regulatory changes, which are, sustainability can mitigate the risks by diversifying energy sources, diversifying material sources. So all these supply chain disruptions and price fluctuations, similar with the ones we have seen during COVID and post-COVID, immediately post-COVID, will have less of an impact on the production. Now, there are concrete sustainability measures, and here is a breakdown of the common strategies. Everyone is looking for energy efficiency and renewable energy. I mean, the renewable energy, typical solar panels and wind turbines continue to be optimized every year. Now, towards upgrading the facilities, everyone is looking at implementing energy efficient technologies such as LED lighting or high efficiency HVAC, heating, ventilations and air conditioning systems, or advanced insulation. Well, there are massive efforts as well on waste management, water conservation, sustainable sourcing. Then the buildings are really targeted to be designed and constructed according to or certified, LEED certified, with LEED standing for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. Folks are really focusing on building smart building technologies, incorporating the smart sensors or Internet of Things to manage energy use more efficiently. Some of you may have been hearing about eco-design, so designing products and packaging to reduce environmental impact through the entire product's life cycle, And this is enhancing recyclability and contributes obviously to sustainability targets achievement. This is my preferred slide. The sustainability is already a central focus on the business worldwide. There is an increase environmental awareness, regulatory pressure, so the contract manufacturers must adapt and advance the green practices in order to remain competitive. And I will mention some of the terms here. Probably most of you will be familiar with. Well, these terms are here to stay. One of the most significant future trends in green practices for contract manufacturing, it is the integration of the circular economy principles. That means reduction of waste, resource efficiency, and all the extension of the product life cycles. Some of you might be familiar with the terms like product as a service or closed loop supply chains. Everything where everything is continuously recycled, refurbished, repurposed, or especially for medical devices designed for disassembly. Then there is a huge investment in developing sustainable materials, from advanced bioplastics from renewable sources or mycelium-based materials to nanomaterials with improved properties or therefore sustainability. Internet of Things devices already are providing real-time data on energy consumptions, equipment performance, supply chain logistics, and these all are enabling a faster and more sustainable decision making. And my preferred, artificial intelligence and machine learning is going to have a boost, because artificial intelligence powered analytics are already used to enhance resource allocations, definitely in the quality control area, and production in scheduling, in planning. Several leading contract manufacturing organizations have been noted for their extensive efforts in sustainability and the proactive measures to address Scope 3 emissions. Catalent has been focused on energy efficient technology implementations, energy consumption optimizations across global facilities. Lonza has been particularly vocal about its sustainability initiatives, specifically focusing on energy efficiency, waste reduction, sustainable sourcing. The company has a fabulous, a very solid sustainable target that includes achieving net zero emissions by 2030. Thermo Fisher Scientific has made significant investments in renewable energy. A large portion of their energy needs are met today through wind and the solar energy. Recipharm has improved the supply chain management and optimized the logistics. Very interesting, they engage with the local communities to promote environmental awareness and ensure the operations align with community sustainability goals. Corden Pharma has several eco-friendly initiatives, is reducing solvent, replacing them with green alternatives. And I want to mention another company, this is Samsung Biologics, which is committed to achieve zero greenhouse gas emissions and 100% renewable energy across its sites and supply chains by 2050. The ongoing work, it's absolutely amazing, and the commitment of this community, it is truly impressive. We are coming to an end with the presentation. Well, allow me to mention that the imperative of sustainability and green practices in contract manufacturing cannot be overstated. It is not longer the mere buzzwords or a trend. It is a fundamental pillar of responsible business operations, and it is here to stay. The contract manufacturing organizations that embrace circular economy principles and these innovative analytics are going to be the winners. We need to be, though, a little bit faster, more precise, having an unwavering resilience when it's coming to sustainable frontiers in contract manufacturing, because tomorrow is no longer good enough. Tomorrow must be now. Stay well, and don't forget, we need to act now for a better tomorrow. Thank you.